Hey, what's up? It's ObamasWeapon.com again. I want to talk about secret weapons in the military now. See, everyone knows that the military keeps everything they do secret. Nothing they do is ever publicized. And they're very deceitful. They refuse to answer questions. They hide information about everything. Oh, there was a plane that took off over Los Angeles a couple years ago and left a contrail and let the mass media go crazy. Oh, is this a missile launch? No, it's a missile launch. The Pentagon refused to answer, but all the evidence clearly showed it was actually a plane launch, like a plane left that. Well, thank you, fucking Department of Defense, because they love the public to just be confused, stupid ass, not know what the fuck's going on. They're not there to answer the questions. All their intelligence belong to them only. And they want the public to be split and retarded and not know what's going on. So this made, the news. And then they bring in a physicist to try to explain this. Oh yeah, I analyze every frame, blah 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 blah. Obviously, this was a plane. And the Department of Defense just loves to screw around when they refuse to answer questions about what was going on, what it was. Well, secret weapons. Secret weapons have been out there a long time. The Manhattan Project, we created the atomic bomb. We now have super weapons today. Super weapons, like, they have the power of atomic bombs without the radiation, for example. And then we have what else do we got? We got radiation weapons. We have synthetic telepathy. We have satellites. We have brain-computer interfaces and military radar systems. That's the secret that they don't want you to know, is that the project more secret than the Manhattan Project was the directed energy projects. Going back to the 1930s, of course, we had the capability to design a lot of technologies for directing energy. We had the cyclotron, we had tubes, we had fucking light guns, we had freaking everything. Lasers were invented at some point, I don't know. So, but because I haven't looked up lasers really, they have something else called masers, which are just like other frequencies of energy being focused instead of visible light energy. So they use masers. There might be microwaves or terahertz waves or other frequencies. Up in the satellites, they have millimeter wave technology. In order to be able to get a person and beam radiation right to their balls at a near cellular level to control cells and the functions of cells, and possibly below that, and to do things to your body that make it feel like they're just hitting a very small part of you, they have to use very fine wavelength energies. So terahertz would be one of those energies. Light energies. Microwaves, I've seen some are pretty large in their wavelength. They might not be accurate enough. ELF waves, which are really large waves, I don't think they're using those to hit people with directed energy either. Because ELF waves can be tall as a building. Really huge waves. Hitting a lot of people at once. You could cook a bunch of, I don't know, you might be able to cook people with them. You might be able to affect their mood and their function. Yeah, you could do that. But you're affecting populations with those types of waves. So I'm not even an expert, you know, but I've been told the millimeter waves comes from the satellites. So apparently the people who are being hit with this directed energy, where they're having their bodies massaged, there's synthetic telepathy links, they're different, I mean, there's really fine energy, so they can target just your genitals and different parts of your genitals at once, make it feel like there's something moving around the different cells of your genitals in different areas and different parts of your body. They do that for torture, the military. So they built this fucking weapon. It's a super weapon. It's just a grid of satellites up above us, and that's what's hitting people. All these victims of directed energy. On the ground, they have these large phased array antennas, and these are actually really old. The first ones were built in the 60s, and we have dozens of them. And these can direct frequencies into the atmosphere. There could be some stuff on the atmosphere or on the ground as well. These are going to be on land and in the ground. But what these systems usually do is bounce radiation off the sky over the horizon into people. I'm not sure yet if the ground, because I don't know the capability of the ground stuff. If it's, you know, they say that's the stuff you hit entire cities and continents with. Okay, well if that's true, well then maybe that's not hitting a single target. I'm not sure. But then Robert Duncan says that the satellites are really redundant systems on top of what's on the ground. So anyway, this is a super weapon. This is energy that they could do a lot of stuff with. And they've used it. They could destroy buildings with it. They can knock aircraft out of the sky, like the Bermuda Triangle, you know. Or they could, or one of these airliners that suddenly downs, or a rocket takes off and blows up right there. Something comes down, blows up in the, or you know, as it's coming down, you know, from space, like a rocket or shuttle or something. And we really do have these super weapons. And anyway, super weapons, just amazing. And they look up strategic defense initiative. That's like Star Wars, Reagan stuff from the 80s and everything. That's where he said, man, well, some people said the capabilities of that would be to, hey, if there's something moving, we will know exactly what it is. Even if it's in the atmosphere, it could be a flying object. And so what they wanted to do is to be able to scan it, like with an Earth Gauge MRI or an ESR or radar scan. And they wanted to know, hey, is this they wanted to be able to pinpoint what it was. Is there some type of nuclear function to it? Is it a rocket or a missile, or is it plane, or is there a person on board, or is it really a dud, a decoy? To be able to know that, you have to be able to scan it right when it's there in the sky, moving, flying wherever it's going, right? And it's a moving object, so they designed really advanced imaging technology to scan that whole thing. And they could do that. It doesn't matter if it's a person or a fucking missile in the sky. So now they're doing that to people on the ground as well. This lets them do body scans of homes and buildings. This is a super weapon. When they scan your brain, they have the same precision of any of the other mind-reading technologies. So they then decode that, and they got your thoughts and what you see and you hear and you feel. It's very high resolution, and the government knows that. It's very high resolution. It's not even guessing anymore. The technology perfected. They've had it for so long that now they know exactly what you're seeing as you're looking around. Okay, they got the full fucking, they'll pull out a picture of your fucking phone. You're staring at it, and they'll get that through your eyes. Okay, and it's very high resolution, and it's not just through your eyes either. They scan in your phone itself. They have satellite images of your phone as well, and there's a lot of different ways that they know exactly what you're looking at. But when you're inside of a building, obviously, and they know you're seeing that deputy's face, and then they start using his face for stuff, and they know that you're looking right at your door, and what they'll do to a human is they'll start putting images, trying to flash them into the person's brain, as if when they look right at the door, they're mixing in like a deputy would be there looking at you with a fucking face to piss you off, and he's not really there. The government starts to torture people with this shit, okay? It's that precise. They're getting people in jails and prisons and hospitals with it. And there's people all over the ground using it. These are agents of the government. The police have it. They do these operations anymore, and they're spying on people in town with this stuff. It records what they say, what they do, lets them know everything. And they're doing this parallel construction stuff where they're hiding it all. They could be out in the streets using it, and the system's running. It's watching something. Say it's a person in a house. They have this brain link technology. It beams in signals into their own heads, so the police officers are communicating with it and getting what's called, some people call it remote view. I've heard a few officers say that. So it'll actually, without there being like a heads-up display or glasses or nothing, they don't need nothing, no display at all, and they're getting information beamed in their head visually, and maps, layouts, whatever it might be that they're interested in, or it could just be that they're all hearing the same person talk, or they're chatting. I don't know. There's a lot of ways that works. So this is a super weapon, just like nukes. They have nukes with no radiation. They have energy weapons now. And these are all over. There's all sorts of types too. They're not just satellite based. And these satellites are like turrets anymore. Turrets, automated, digital, focusing energy, like a coordinate on a display. Have you seen that on a computer display? How they turn on whatever pixel they want. It can be red, blue, or green, or some color. And just one here and one there. Anyway, that's all done digitally, and it's the same with like the satellites. They just got the coordinates mapped out of the whole planet, and they fucking beam radiation in a digital fashion. It's effortless to their system. So as you're walking around, it's tracking you, it's imaging you, and then it knows where you're at, so they can refocus the energy right at you really fast as you're walking around Earth's surface. Now there is a bit of latency. I used to try to figure out, hey, how much latency is this, so I can get an idea of where it's coming from. I didn't know if it was satellites or some type of radar that was like over a mountain. Satellites, I think it's satellites, because it's about a 1 second delay. And it tries to guess where you're going to move. It knows where you're going to move, and so, you know, even when you're in the car, they're able to kind of predict where you're going to be, so they hit you in a car, and they'll heat, chill, massage your body. There's a lot of physical effects as well as mental effects on a human being anyway. And on your electronics, there's signal jamming, there's screwing with LCDs. They can turn a pixel on with, you know, by energizing it with directed energy. They can knock out an LCD panel. They can activate the touch screen on your fucking phone with direct energy. So there's a lot of tricks they can do. They can turn off your cable modem, cause reboots. So this is just one of the secret super weapons out there. There's likely hypersonic warheads as well, and that's just one of the things they've been talking about. Of course America has hypersonic stuff. And they're just really fast moving, faster than sound by multiple times. There's all sorts of stuff, but the brain stuff is the most secret, man, because if they can tap into any citizen's brain, then they can control that person, know everything, and stay on top of them all the time for torture, assaults. Nothing to do with experiments, because experiments were done a long time ago. Like in the 1960s, they were doing this. They were testing out. They'd go into people in prison, and they would beam radiation in and just get into that person's body where they're in prison. There's a guy named Ginter who claims they did that to him, and he had a lawsuit and everything, and there were psychiatrists around him talking about the mind, the magnetic integrated neuron duplicator. You go to mindjustice.org for information on that. Totally around the time they were doing a lot of this with the MK Ultra experiments and the Army military experiments. They knew that radar affected people too back then, like would heat melt your candy bar in your pocket if you're standing around a military transponder, or that from 100 meters they could beam fucking sound and subliminal message into a person's head, and that's the Frey effect. They knew all this stuff, and the military radar was they perfected that at some point. And by 1974, it was patented. Mind reading, mind altering radar. It was just an adaptation of how to scan a human as a target, human brain. And so they could take a multi-purpose radar and add that capability into the software, and then there you go. They have the basic building blocks for synthetic telepathy, super weapons, and tapping people's brains and everything. 1974. And they got these radar built up on the whole motherfucking planet, and it's fully deployed. It's one of their secret weapons, man. So I encourage people to think about what types of secret weapons you think. They built this to be God, because they can take out citizens without acknowledging their rights to the law anymore. They can give them cancer. They could give their dog cancer. They can do a lot of torturous things, mental stuff, fuck with their brains, damage their brains. This is giving them total control. And I'm one of the victims, man, from 2008. 2008 is not no special year, but some people say that it really picked up in the 2000s at what they're doing to people. 2008 is a popular year. A lot of people say they were targeted. And I was one, but it was part of a surveillance operation in a place called the Oregon State Hospital. U.S. Department of Justice had access to the system to spy on everyone there. So did the state. The state was brought in. The two of them actually cooperated on the investigation, the state and the U.S. Department of Justice. And I caught wind of it because I was the one being spied on, and all the staff. Oh man, they're killers. Their personalities, they're killers. They know they have to kill whoever they target and whoever finds out about this. And so they go after. And I'm not saying all the other people out there. I'm special because I have not heard. Everyone says that they haven't heard too many stories like mine. And that just means because my story is the real McCoy, other people's stories are not always the real McCoy, and they don't even know the full capabilities of all this. And I get people saying, "Oh, you know, Todd's a researcher, investigator, you know, and he's smarter, seems to have a full understanding of this, you know, as it's on paper in some of these places." Because one person came to me and said, "Well, as it's on paper, this is exactly the same stuff that I was reading about when I worked at this agency, you know, and it's all classified, NDA protected, can't say anything. I get charged with treason and treated like a traitor and abused, you know. I can't say nothing more than that. If that they wanted me, that's what USIS has those fucking documents on that stuff, and they're just what these contractors basically." They're just using this to spy on people. And the low-level police have it, and so do the district attorneys and the attorney general. And goddamn, these state and police who work at like the state hospital, they're like little corrections officers. They can't even go to jail or prison for like an assault or murder, you know, type stuff most of the time. Very rarely will they charge one of their own, you know. It takes a man staff abusing a female or something, but females can abuse whoever they want in these weird situations and stuff, and it's fucking sick. And the assaults are permitted by everybody, and the lies and the cover-up, it's all to protect everyone in the state and everything. This system lets them do that. Alright, well, I'm gonna go. I just want you to think about super weapons. Think about the stuff in fantasy and sci-fi. Think about what could be done with directed energy, because there's two types of energy: sound and electromagnetism, and those two energies penetrate walls. Because, you know, when you're in a building, you can still hear a train toot from a long ways away. You hear the cars still, right? That's because the sound waves can get into the building and get to the person. Okay, and then electromagnetism is the same freaking way. Same freaking stuff. It's actually can penetrate the whole earth. So if you're at a mountain, it won't block it. If you're you know, normal say you're in a cave, it still is penetrating. Apparently will penetrate to the core of the full fucking planet. So one of the things they could do is scan through the ocean, you know, like you hear about the oil companies were wanting to do this stuff, you know. So they are using some forms of this. They invented some of this shit where they wanted to be able to find oil under the fucking ocean, right? Well, that's some very powerful fucking imaging technology if they could do that, right? And here they are using it on people. And they focus those energies onto someone, they hurt them. So someone else, it's like an ultimate hack. It's like a hacker who can do anything with software. Now they're doing anything they want with directed energy. They got the technology, the transmitting tools, the broadcast, and the imaging tools. They see inside your home. They see that you're on the pot taking a crap, you know. You and your hubby are, you know, having sex, counting how many times you're having sex. The machine is called computerized, so it's been designed to do a lot of that, counting things, keeping track of things from history's past, and it's a lot of artificial intelligence involved, a lot of algorithms, really, and it's really fucking amazing what they can do with this, and it's so advanced. The part of it that they've designed to interface with humans is really advanced, and they could do virtually anything. So as a target, you could be made to feel stuff that you never thought was possible, and it's really terrible what they're doing, whether it's pleasure or pain, or it's stuff that you never thought energy would be able to do to you. But when you think about all your nerve impulses are energy, so everything you feel and you see and you hear is actually a form of nerve impulses being generated. You pinch your skin and you only feel the pinch because you're compressing the nerves. Well, or you're feeling the heat, you know, different stuff. I don't even know how it all works, because, you know, when you're feeling the temperature changes, you know, it's pretty interesting how the signals change, and, you know, you end up feeling those signals change, you know. Cold and heat correlate with the motion of particles and the expansion of, like, atoms and stuff, right? And it's kind of cool that you're an analog beast able to sense when that's going on, and the signals change enough that you could tell, okay? That's all it's about, is signals change, and then you feel something different. And I believe the brain has something in it that just maps everything out, so whatever, everyone feels virtually the same thing. It's in our DNA, you know. It's in our DNA and in our brain, so we all see the same color, we all see the same, basically a taste. It's just how do they convert the signal to a taste, you know? The brain is doing that, see? It's got some part of it dedicated to doing that. And so here we are, analog machines, and you could tap into all that, okay, if you can. So that's what people who are victims are feeling. But there's also the physical effects of the expanding and contracting and heating and chilling. You're actually being hurt good too. It's piercing through your body just like a stream of radiation, and it's just going through, man. And they do this thing where they have these waves, they combine them at different points, so they're actually making you feel like pulses and so that if you're feeling the drag or the radiation going through, because they combine them at different points inside your body just so you can feel it, because energy moves at the speed of light. You wouldn't usually feel it, so they have to make a way for you to feel it by combining two different signals in multiple different points of your body, perhaps. And so that's what people are feeling when they're being tortured and everything. Alright, well, so look up heterodynes, and then look up, what they do is they like to combine two, like, lasers, and then where the laser combines, you know, that's where there's a reaction or energy builds up, and they might, so they're trying to create like something happening right at that point, expansion and contraction or whatever, and that's being focused into a person in different levels of their body. It's all digitized, and they can move it around and fucking do stuff to you. And many beams could come together as well. So the limit is their engineering. Think about what other types of super weapons could be out there. They have handheld versions of this. The ray gun, the zombie gun that the Russians have. Russians have this, Americans have it. Russians and Americans have fought back and forth for a long time, over decades, of fighting with directed energy in secret. And there's been consequences, and it's all covered up. The government won't tell anyone about it. The people who do it, some of them come forward and go, oh yeah, we were doing all this and no one else even knew we were doing all this stuff. You know, there's been nuclear reactions happening and destruction and this and that and stuff with the weather and crap going on, and no one even knows what's being used around. And Russians have a lot of this technology. Americans have more than the rest of the world combined, pretty much more in technology than the rest of the world combined. We're the ones sitting on all the power. We have bigger budgets and all that stuff. So there's a lot of types of stuff they can make with this stuff. You know, they have a version that's handheld that'll kill a person, and it's just, you just gotta direct the frequencies into them, aim it right at them. You know, the satellites, the big dogs, like these are like drones. You know, these are like drones that people don't even know are up there, automated, watching everything, capable of directing frequencies to kill people and blow stuff up. But the government doesn't use it so openly. They don't even want you to know it's there. That's just their way of keeping it secret. Everyone's afraid of drones, right? Because, like, oh god, they're going to start flying drones over us, then they could bomb us anytime they want and stuff. You know? But they don't know the satellites are already there, capable of that too. And there's other stuff around us that are capable of that as well. They have weapons caches that they could get us all with if they wanted to. They have germs. They have other stuff. They can just kill off the population in secret. So those are some of the other secret weapons. Germs. They make virtually anything. The more they understand, they learn that, hey, we can make some type of, like, I don't really know, but you have the structures in DNA, they're like little machines that manufacture stuff. And then they just got to learn how to build those, and then they can manufacture special viruses and cells and poisons and stuff that's really tiny. Nanotechnologies too is another thing where they could build technology into cells, into bacteria, into human cells, inside of fungus. And there's nanoparticles to poison people with, and it could hurt people as well. This goes right through your body and gets inside of you and makes you sick. There's a lot of hidden weapons. Alright, think about all those hidden weapons out there. Think about how dangerous the world is. No, who's controlling these people? Everyone's already said that the big government agencies have no oversight. No one's regulating them. They're above the law. Congress admits they're not regulating these companies. CIA, FBI, DOJ, fucking DOD, NSA. That no one has the power over these agencies anymore. And they're out of control. And other countries are just as bad, where they have these really powerful, dangerous militaries and these agencies and people involved in them who will do a lot of bad stuff, and there's no control over it. No, our government, American government's not even willing to speak up, just so the people in the public have a heads up about what's really going on. So you're all helpless and powerless, and no one knows, for the most part, except for the people who are working for the government. There's a lot of intelligence involved in this shit. The government, you know, you have the unions who get a lot of intelligence. They've worked around it. They've been given special powers. The middle class, you know, given something over the poor, and a lot of stuff like that. Alright, well, I guess I better go. Think about all the secret weapons out there that if you could make anything you wanted, you could make a lot of stuff, couldn't you? A lot of deadly, dangerous stuff. And far above what everyone else has, you know? If you could hack anything together and you were a military with a limited budget, you could make all this stuff, couldn't you? Think about it, public.